The courtroom was tense, the air was thick with anticipation, and at the center of it all, Morgan Freeman. He sat at the defendant's table, his fingers interlocked, his expression unreadable. Across from him, the prosecution's lead attorney smirked. "Mr. Freeman," the lawyer said, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You may have narrated some of the greatest movies of all time, but this is real life. And in real life, charm doesn't win cases." The courtroom chuckled. Even the judge shook his head, as if amused by the situation. They thought Freeman was just an old actor out of his element. But what happened next? No one was prepared for. Because Morgan Freeman was about to give them a lesson in truth, wisdom, and justice. It started with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. A major production company was suing Freeman, claiming he had broken a contract, walking away from a film project and costing them millions. Their lead attorney, Victor Langley, was a shark in the legal world. Known for his ruthless tactics, he had built a career taking down powerful figures who thought they were untouchable. And today, he was going after Morgan Freeman. "Your Honor," Langley said with confidence. The defendant signed an agreement. He made a promise, and then, without warning, he abandoned the project. The studio suffered financial damages because of his reckless decision. Langley turned to Freeman. "Now tell me, Mr. Freeman, does a man of your wisdom not understand the meaning of commitment?" The courtroom chuckled again. The judge even smirked. It looked like Langley had already won. Then, Morgan Freeman spoke, and the entire room fell silent. Freeman slowly stood, his posture calm but commanding. Then, in that legendary deep voice, he said something that made the whole courtroom shiver. "Son," he began, letting the words hang in the air. Langley stiffened. "I've seen men like you before. You come in here with your slick talk, your fancy words, thinking you already know how this will play out." He paused, glancing around the room. "But let me remind you, this is a courtroom, not a stage, and the truth always wins." Langley's smirk vanished. The judge leaned forward, now completely focused on Freeman. Freeman reached into his leather briefcase and pulled out a single sheet of paper. With steady hands, he unfolded it and held it up for the courtroom to see. "This," he said, his voice smooth as silk, "is the contract I actually signed." Langley scoffed. "We already have the contract, Mr. Freeman." Freeman smiled. "No, son, you have a forgery." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. The judge frowned. "Explain." Freeman handed the document to his lawyer, who quickly distributed copies to the court. "The contract your client submitted. It's not the same one I agreed to. They made changes after I walked away, without my signature." Langley's face turned white. The studio had lied. They had tried to frame Morgan Freeman. The judge put on his glasses and studied the document. His expression hardened. "Mr. Langley," he said, his voice sharp, "is this true?" Langley's confidence crumbled. "Your Honor, this is clearly a misunderstanding." Freeman let out a slow, knowing chuckle. "Misunderstanding? No, sir. This is deception. And in my long life, I've learned one thing. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be heard." The courtroom was dead silent. The judge took a deep breath and turned back to Langley. "Do you have an explanation?" Langley stammered. "Your Honor, my client. We were under the impression—" The judge cut him off. "Enough," he said firmly. "This case was built on false evidence. Mr. Freeman, you are cleared of all wrongdoing. Case dismissed." Boom. Langley collapsed into his chair. His career ruined. The studio exposed. Morgan Freeman? He simply nodded, gathered his things, and walked out. It didn't take long for the truth to spread. Headlines the next day told the story. "Morgan Freeman outsmarts Hollywood's most ruthless lawyer in court. Langley's reputation was in shambles. The production company faced a massive lawsuit for attempting to forge legal documents. And Morgan Freeman? He went back to doing what he does best: narrating history, playing legends, and standing tall as one of Hollywood's most respected icons. The case was over, but the lesson was clear. Morgan Freeman wasn't just a legendary actor. He was a man who knew the power of truth. And if you ever think about crossing him in court, just remember, he's already 10 steps ahead of you. What do you think? Did the studio get what they deserved? Let's discuss in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more unbelievable stories.